This
Rocket Child.
is Rocket Child.
Rocket Child. It's Rocket Child.
Rocket Child. Yeah.
Hello everyone, it's me, Jessica again, and welcome to another speed drawing video. So this video is called The Giant's Heart. It's based on a story that I've been writing. Originally with my writers group, we had a theme called Australian Fairy Tales, and as the name goes, it's kind of based on creating fairy tales or adapting fairy tales to suit an Australiana theme. And so this was based on the, Scandinavian story, a giant who had no heart in its body, comes from a book called, East of the Sun, West of the Moon. I'm not sure who the authors are really, but I know in that particular book it's illustrated by one of my favorite artists, Kay Nielsen. So in that story, it talks about how this family of princes get turned to stone by a giant, and so the main character, Boots, has to go and save his family with the help of a princess who's being kept captive by the giant. And so in my version of the story, I reversed the genders, and the hero is now a heroine, and following the name Boots, I called her Jordan. And the princess, her role is taken by Timberland, who is a boy who has been raised in the Australian bush by the giantess. And so Jordan goes on this quest to free her brothers who have been turned to stone. Really, I've been working on this story for a very long time. Started it last year, and it's gone under lots of different editing reviews and things, but somehow I didn't really know how to write the ending, because I didn't want it to be just a typical fairy tale and they got married and lived happily ever after sort of thing. I wanted to put my own spin and change it up a bit. So I put the story aside, kind of just left it alone, did a whole bunch of other things, and a few weeks ago, it's still been sort of in my mind, this story that never had an ending. I figured, okay, how about I just go through my ideas again, see everything that's been written and brainstormed. So how I usually think, I'm a very visual person, in case you can't tell, right here with this drawing, and so often I come up with ideas when I am sketching, especially in terms of like the characters' personalities tend to develop when I'm going through their character designs, such as like the rough, rugged, like the rough kind of old clothes, and like tanned from the sun because he's out in the bush. These sorts of characteristics tend to help me think when I'm doing designs. So I figured, well, for this short story, how about I design a cover? And so this is what this video is all about. Is me designing the cover for this short story. So here I'm using a dark brown to do the outlines. I usually like to use black outlines, but I think the brown gives it a bit of a softer, warmer tone. Once you get closer to the end of the video, I try and add in more earthy colors that match the Australian bush, as well as like purpley shadows and orangey highlights to match a sunset kind of glow. But anyway, first things first, as you can see here, I'm just doing the sketches. So a color sketch really gives me permission to play around with different colors, see what it looks like on the characters, without having to commit and making it look all pretty. So I can just play around, adjust the tones, and make sure everything works well together. Same thing goes with the shadows, so I can figure out the light source. Then once that's all worked out, I'll make a new layer, and using the lasso tool, I am sectioning off areas and then coloring them in with the fill tool, so that way I have the basic shape of what I want, but now I can put in the detail and having the clean, precise lines. Here I'm using a blue, a grayish kind of blue on Photoshop, and I've just lowered the, the opacity, so that way it looks like a light gray. And when I use the multiply on the blending mode section, it allows me to overlay that gray blue shadow layer on top of the colors, and that way it darkens the colors. You'll see it soon. So in the same way, from the color sketch, I use the eyedrop tool and copy over the colors that I like, or if I had a better idea, such as I want to change the pinks on the jumper, and so in the same way, just using the lasso tool and sectioning off areas. When you use Photoshop, you also have the option of using the magic wand tool, but in order to use that, you actually have to have all the lines closed, and not all of mine are closed, so sometimes it's just easier to trace the shape that I want. Then I'm also coloring everything on their own different layer, so if I want to change something up, it means I can change that particular color scheme rather than having to interfere with everything altogether. So for the giant's heart, I wanted it to be, I guess, shaped like an anatomical heart, but a little bit different to that of a human heart. So I made it more orangey with throbbing blue veins, with a bit oozy, so kind of gross. So here, and also because it's still a living heart, even though it's outside of the giant's body, I wanted to add this kind of pulsing effect to it. So with the blue glow that copies the blue of the veins, using a softer brush, I've gone over the layers in closest to the heart and just added that soft light reflection. As you can see here, I'm using a gradient overlay and adding different blending modes to get this sort of soft transition between light and shadow. So it's a very subtle effect, but I find it makes a big difference. Now onto the background layer. I've just gone into my camera and found photos that I took when I went bushwalking and chose one that I liked and stuck it in. And next I'm going and adding some noise and a little bit of blur so the characters stand out rather than the detail of the background taking over. So I wrote this on the screen, but I feel as though it's kind of important to say. When using photographs, it's best that you either, I guess, take them yourself or you look for images that are royalty free, because you don't want to just be taking pictures that belong to other people and not having their permission. So with this kind of cover, for example, I'm just using it to upload the story online when I'm done, but if I was to have it for sale or for print, you don't want to be using other people's photographs for commercial purposes. So yeah, that's probably also why I like to get hands-on with all my projects. Anyway, we're on to the final stage of the drawing. So as I said at the beginning, just putting some light to copy the Australian bush with the sunset, and here is the final cover. By the time this video is finished and uploaded, the story should be as well. So I'll put the link here to my Wattpad account where you can see the full, well, where you can read the full story of the Giant's Heart. So just here, scan the QR code or click on the link in the comments box to go and have a look. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video or want to see more speed drawings, subscribe, thumbs up, and all that jazz, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.